to enter to our ancestors, to our sacred ancestors, hold us near, close to your bosom. Protect us from all harm and fear, from the blows of life. Direct our steps in the right way as we journey through this vision. Ancestors, surround us in your most absolute perfect light. Anoint us in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless us, truly bless us, as we share this sacred life. Teach us, sacred spirit, to be in tune with the universe. Teach us how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. May every word we speak be backed by ancestral wisdom. May every move we make be fueled by sacred spirit. Ashe, so it is. Welcome, beloved, to the Sankofa Ancestor Shrine. I'm your host, Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami, and we are going through the gateways of our Sacred Woman book. If you would like to support the shrine, please go to patreon.com/Sankofa Shrine, and we can all connect there as well. So to start today, we're going to be on page 32 and just kind of go forward from there. You don't really need the book, but because I'm reading it, but if you like to read along, we're on page 32. To the keepers of the sacred womb. Womb wisdom is traditionally women's work, so say the ancients. As earth mothers from the original heavenly realm of Nut, we have the ability and responsibility to heal ourselves with natural ways, using the elements of air, fire, water, and earth. Men do not have this power, nor is it their destiny to heal our wombs. Men need only to love, respect, support, come through, and give reverence to our wombs. Men can only support what women first established through the renewal of their sacred wombs, the natural foundation of our self-discovery and recovery. So with this, I think is a very good time to briefly bring up that there are people who who are men who have wombs, and there are people who are women who do not have wombs, either because of hysterectomy, maybe they have a partial womb of all of it's gone, or they were never born with a womb. And I think for these people, it's going to be a very interesting path for them going forward, reconciling these very deeply entrenched traditions in a lot of ways, especially in Western society. It's definitely become more entrenched than it was in previous indigenous and tribal communities. We were a bit more open about these types of things. So I think finding ways to reclaim that and reconcile it, as well as obviously blazing your own path, blazing your own trail, because there just aren't as many, is just something that these people are definitely going to have to grapple with and wrestle with. And also, as womb healers ourselves, we're going to have to grapple with and help heal and hold ground for people who don't fit into the very narrow scope that we see here in Sacred Woman, right? Because when we're out here trying to heal the community, heal the wombs of our community, obviously we don't want to exclude any wombs, and obviously we don't want to exclude people with that feminine healing power who don't have a womb anymore, right? We don't want to exclude those people. So, there are ways that I think as modern practitioners, it's going to be just a little bit of, blazing new ground, because we don't have completely every tool we need for that. But I do think there's ways for us to be inclusive, and there's ways for us to support people who are not in this traditional binary that we see laid out in Sacred Woman. I also think that this is a really great paragraph, because it's a reminder of our own ability to stand in ourselves, to strengthen ourselves, to rise above whatever the situation is that is being um, foisted upon us. She's talking about how men can only support women what women first establish, and it's very hard to establish because often it's men who are oppressing us from establishing that in the first place. However, when we reclaim some of that power, and it doesn't have to be everything at once. When we start reclaiming that power and we start holding space for ourselves and making space for ourselves, that is often respected, especially when you're able to verbalize it, or even better, you're in your center and you're living it, and nobody can really deny you your life, your lifestyle. And I think that that is really what she's talking about here, is that ability to hold space, to hold ground for yourself, for others, and not back down. And it doesn't, that doesn't mean you need to be arguing with people and getting into feminist and womanist arguments with your husband or your father, but it does mean that you recognize these signs for what they are, and you're not swayed by them anymore. You do hold yourself in this holy state, and there's nothing that someone else could say. You can just let it go, because there's nothing someone else can say that can take you out of this wonderful position you've put yourself in. I don't know what they yelling about. When our wombs are restored through the steady, hold on. Thank you, baby. Thank you too. Okay. You're the best too. You're the best too, baby. Okay, so when our wombs are restored through the steady, unrelenting transformation of our thoughts, our hearts, and our blood, then and only then will the destiny of the earth rise again. This is important because it does remind us that when we're living under the patriarchy, there is imbalance. There is a huge imbalance, right? And so, really, you are restoring the needs of humanity, of the planet, even, right? The patriarchy does tend to rape and pillage Mother Earth just as much as it tries to come at women and womanhood, and subjugate and force and conform and take without giving back. So this is just a huge reminder of our importance, and the importance of this work, of your healing work, of you choosing to step up and do this, because it's not just about changing men or changing everything else in the world. There is an impact when we change ourselves. We change how we hold ourselves. We change how we raise our children. We change how we act and interact with the world and the people and the animals and the flowers and fauna and whatever else in it. Due to our present degenerated state as women, we are often impotent healers of self. Lost women are women who are disconnected from their sacred center. We must move out and harness all of our power, which has been dormant, locked away in our wombs, for we are at a crossroads of life on this planet. Whether men and women are to live or die is up to us. As women, we have the power to stop the destruction of the earth. Sacred women move out quickly and with absolute certainty and tenacity. There you have it. There you have that nature veneration, and also that understanding of this is a life or death situation, right? Every year, I mean, this book came out how many decades ago, and every year it gets worse, right? And a lot of this is because a lot of these things, these systems haven't changed. We are changing them. We are trying to change them. But a lot of people are really comfortable in their stagnation, even as they see oncoming doom and destruction, even as they are blatantly told humanity is on the line here. Everything humans have done in history is on the line here. A lot of people are in a paralysis state. Some people are just like, I got to get mine while I can. And we don't have as many people who are dedicated to that overall cause of community, mostly because a lot of us are now raised in very Eurocentric places where it's more every man for himself and less it takes a village. So this is such important work. And that's why I'm so happy when I see people coming in and watching the Sacred Sister Circles, participating in them, letting me know what they've done, because it really is such important work, and it does take each of us connecting and growing and deciding we are going to commit. And obviously, sometimes you're not going to be in your sacred center. Most of us can't be in 100% of the time. Sometimes tragedy occurs. Sometimes you are betrayed. Sometimes you are totally let down, and you can be knocked off your center. And that's why it's important for us to have sister circles. That's why it's important for us to have groups and individuals that we can reach out to during those times to be able to connect, refresh, understand, calibrate. And sometimes we need somebody else to hold space for us while they're in their center and we just simply cannot be in that moment. Look at the condition of our wombs. Statistically, they tell a story. They hold the answer to whether or not we are to be. Most women have womb problems. Too many wombs are dead asleep. Others filled with bacteria, imploding with stress and disease. Still others are bleeding to death. Collectively, we are in trouble. So say the voices of our wombs. We have squatted on our power for centuries, and it is time to stand up, for full resurrection is our birthright. When we as women activate our full strength, then it will be as it was in the beginning. When women were whole, we were supreme, for we too were given the power to rule the earth. We women, gatekeepers of life, are the key to creating a glorious healing upon the earth through the realignment of the ancient ways of healing taught to us by the first mothers of antiquity. So I do want to, with this, talk about the fact that a lot of this is beyond our control, right? A lot of these stress factors, especially for Black women, especially for Black women in the diaspora, these stress factors are inherent in our system, right? In the society system of they subjugate us, they mule us. When we go to work, they give us the worst jobs. They give us less pay. When we go to the doctor, they don't believe we have feel as much pain. They don't, they don't want to give us as much medicine. They don't want to diagnose us. They hold us to uh, the BMI or whatever it's called, which is based on white people's bodies. And so we're always going to be classified as obese and needing to lose weight before they'll even help us with our illnesses. I mean, it just adds up and it adds up. And a lot of this is beyond our control. But there are things that are in our control. And that's the things that we can really focus on, hold on to, and hold space in. And as we're able to hold space in those areas, we are going to make progress for those things that are systemic, little out of our control. We're going to be able to find our ways, but don't be discouraged just because there are these systemic problems. Understand that you do have power and you are able to overcome some of these, fight some of these. Use your hoodoo, use your ancestors, use your juju and your understanding of these materials outside and within your home to make a difference. So don't get paralyzed about it. Do be active, but also don't take the world on your shoulders, or think there's some inherent flaw to you because you're still experiencing these stress factors. You're going to experience the stress factors, but there's tools in here for how to react to them in more healthy ways, how to confront them in more healthy ways that don't just take out of you, but also can refill you, replenish you, and allow you to continue on the good fight, right? We're not going to pray our way out of systemic racism, systemic poverty, classism, but we are going to be able to find ways to fight within the system to gain some forms of comfort for ourselves, for our family, forms of healing for ourselves, our community, and through that, expand and make those bigger changes. It made me, it reminds me of a few weeks ago when I'm an advocate for healthcare for all Americans, including mental health care. We have the money. It would be cheaper. It would be more efficient. It would give everybody equal access. There could still be private doctors for people, but we need to have this public health care. And I've been fighting for it at the federal level. I've been trying to use my vote for that. But it occurred to me recently when my county, San Mateo County, voted for healthcare for all. I was like, I was completely forgetting the micro and just going for the big guns, when in reality it could probably be my state of California that did this prior to the entire country doing this. So that can be applied to what we do here. You can start locally. You can start in your home with you, and then you can expand to a friend, to a daughter, a son. You can expand to somebody online who may not understand or is like, I just don't have anybody who knows. And you're like, I know. I've been studying this. So there is an ability to start small and grow bigger, right? Sacred women, I implore you to take your life into your own hands and take hold of your daughter's hands as best you can and seek out your sisters, your mothers, your grandmothers, your aunts. Create a womb circle, speak womb talk, pass it on. Wombs are healing everywhere. Go heal a wounded womb and charge a healed womb with light so that it may bear a bright future. Envision a planet of healthy minds and hearts. It's all up to us, the peacemakers, the keepers of the womb. For when we as women go forth and sit on the sacred seat of Isis, the great mother within, these then men with all their warring over land, people, and resources can do nothing but submit. Come sit with us in the sacred womb circle, sacred woman, and invoke your true divinity. So, the part I really like about this is the reminder that the feminine is as strong as the masculine. They're strong in very different ways a lot of the time, but there is strength in your peace. There is strength in you maintaining your composure and your center. It does not always have to be masculine anger. And sometimes it does feel like that. It does feel like I just need a bark right now. I just need to get in someone's face. And sometimes that masculine energy is necessary for what you're doing. But I feel like there is a disconnect a lot of the time because again, we live in this Western society where, things like fighting are pushed up and upheld and exalted, and peace is not as much. It's seen as weakness. It's seen as, lesser than. And so a lot of people are just like, okay, well, I'm not about to walk around getting walked all over. This is a reminder that you can be peaceful. You can just put blessings on your enemies, bless them so much that they never see you again. You can use peaceful tactics to get the same results. It may, or similar results, or a preferable result. And honestly, I think that's something a lot of people forget. They want to like feel like they have that fire. They want to hot foot everybody they see. But there are ways to be a peaceful person and practice what you preach in those areas, and just reserving those times with the knife for when you actually need the knife, and not just bringing it to every situation, even when flowers might be the better tool, right? Welcome to the Sacred Womb Circle. The Sacred Womb Circle was created to reawaken the knowledge within women's consciousness that we have an innate natural ability to heal ourselves. It was born out of a need to reach out to women like you and me who want to take a more active and responsible role in creating and maintaining the personal wellness of our wombs. Just a reminder though, when you are taking that more active and personally responsible role, do remember that, there are ways for, how do I want to say this? That yes, there are things that are out of your control, but we are trying to work on ourselves and change what's happening through changing our own actions. We're trying to not do the same thing over and over, and recognize our part in it, even as other people may not recognize their part in it. That's what I'm trying to say. To begin the process of womb wellness, we must first establish and become rooted in the concept and philosophy of Gateway Zero, the sacred womb, and its natural, holistic approach to creating womb wellness. It's not designed to diagnose or prescribe. It is offered to women as a loving introduction to a holistic education. It is not intended to serve as a substitute for medical treatment. If you're being attended to by a physician, please continue to do so as you simultaneously begin to educate yourself about the process offered here. Today, when so many women are faced with the threat of hysterectomy due to the uterine fibroids, endometriosis, and an increase in the number of cancerous wombs, the Sacred Womb Circle is an answer to African women's collective prayers. It says, "Come to me for the prevention of chronic excessive monthly bleeding. Come to me for the elimination of womb infections. Come to me to stanch the growth of tumors, cysts, and fibroids. Come to me to summon the courage to end sexual womb abuse. Come to me to mend the painful emotional scars of unhealed abortions. Come to me to end the premature loss of your monthly cycle or the stress of menopause. Come to me to embrace and rejoice in your sacred wombs." So, some of these things are unavoidable, right? Some of these things happened to you, or they were necessary for your survival at the time, or the choices you made that led to you getting blah blah blah, they were necessary to you at that time. So what we were really doing is you're looking to just change where it goes forward. And again, other people around you may not change, and you may feel like, why am I doing all this work? Nobody else is doing all this work. The work is for you. The work is for your healing, for your longevity, and for the wisdom that you'll be able to pass on to others, either verbally, teaching someone literally, or just living your lifestyle in a way that is inspiring to others. Gateway Zero empowers Gateway Zero empowers women by encouraging the formation of sacred womb circles in order to collectively heal ourselves through womb wellness work. It urges mothers to bond with their daughters, daughters to honor their mother's experience and wisdom. It asks grandmothers and elder women to gather all the women folk of their communities to their bosoms for rebirthing by sharing ancient wise women healing traditions. These traditions allowed African women of the Americas, the Caribbean, the motherland, and throughout the world to heed the call to ourselves through womb wisdom using traditional herbs, roots, leaves, berries, mud, water, air, sun, and prayer. Um, and remember with that part about the like roots and the berries and blah, like we're in an age where a lot of people are like, I need to buy this specific root for this specific thing for that. But you'll find with a lot of traditional hoodoos, a lot of traditional root workers, that they didn't, because they didn't have botanicas like we do now, they didn't have all these online ones or down the block, or they just it was a bit difficult to get to them. They were using anything. They were just communing with the plants, and they'd ask, can I use you for this? Can I? Or they would consecrate the plant to be used for this. And that's a really important tool because, a lot of modern day spiritual shops cut corners. They're kind of in it for more for the money and less to give you like a high quality experience. And so what you'll find is that they will send you things that are kind of cut with other things, or maybe like a cheaper alternative. So you think you're getting something, but in reality, you've kind of gotten something else. And because so many of us are disconnected, not just from the herbs themselves, but from what they look like when they're dried, what they look like, what's the difference between the roots and the stems, what those should look like. A lot of people just really don't realize that they've been scammed, or maybe they can't afford to get something else when they get this item. But I urge you to use those items, but just consecrate them for what it is you want. Because even with just one item, you can find in several different um, places on this planet that same herb be used for totally different things. So, you can ask this herb to focus more on this and that, but then also consecrating it to be for what you specifically have, because that's just what you have. That's what you were able to gather outside. That's what you were sent. That's what's in your house right now. You can't, won't, don't have the bandwidth, whatever, to go outside and do those things. Find those ways to work for you. Remember, we're not buying things this year. We're using what we have. We're concentrating on that method of Hoodoo, of Conjure. So that's really what I wanted to urge you with that. Gateway Zero teaches us how to establish the natural living lifestyle that strengthens and purifies the womb universal mind, the womb of the heart, and the throne of the womb, the sacred seat of Ast. Women who take on this sacred work are striving to create wombs that work brilliantly, wombs that don't hurt or bleed profusely or drop or scream. Women who take on this sacred work will end the inner womb wars and save their sacred seats for the dread of disease, from the dread of disease, so they can begin to heal naturally. We need powerful, tumor-free, energized, pain-free, cleansed, and spiritually charged wombs. We need wombs that don't lock in negative experiences in people, only to become diseased when all these toxins are not safely released. So that's a reminder that when things happen to you, to continuously upkeep this work, right? It's not just a one and done. Well, I've let go of my trauma. Like traumas happen all the time. And further, this isn't just for the world. This is for you. This is for your comfort. This is for you to be able to sit and your womb isn't debilitating you from going out and doing these different things. This is just as much physical as it is spiritual, which is a main tenet for African traditional religions, right? We tend to infuse those two. We tend to infuse the physical and the spiritual. That's why we have like animism and things like that, because you know, every little thing we're doing physically, cleaning our house, cooking food for the family, drinking a cup of water, is often infused with that spirituality. We pray over the water. We pray as we're stirring that soup. We pray over the stuff we're cleaning with, and we clean with these ingredients specifically because there's the spiritual cleansing element. Although this gateway does not contain all answers to restoring the full beauty and magnificence of the womb, it does offer the first sparks of light that can ignite our sleeping spirits. Gateway 0 speaks to all women, from the young woman who has recently initiated into her menstrual cycle to the woman whose womb has been surgically removed. To all women, we say, bless the spirit of your womb, for that spirit is eternal and it never dies. Charge your spiritual womb daily throughout each cycle of your womb life with much love and peace. For if your spirit is whole, so too is the spirit of your womb. Beautifully said. Whatever your spiritual affiliation, philosophy, educational background, or cultural expression, the Sacred Womb Circle can work for you. It is a safe haven in which every woman must rejoice in the power of her newfound womb awareness. This is the foundation you need as you set out the evolutionary path of the sacred woman. May this open you to the possibilities of taking greater responsibility for the restoration and preservation of your womb. May each lesson fill you with a greater sense of wholeness. Let's begin. All right, so on page 34, she does talk about the different elements of a sacred womb circle and setting one up. But we already have one here, and while it's not traditional, right, we can't have a potluck online. As much fun as that sounds, everybody brings some delicious, healthy food to eat, and we all can just indulge and do this together. We can do things like dancing together. We can have journaling prompts together, dressing up together, as well as doing our prayers together. And let's see what other things she says here. Oh, and exchanging ideas. Feel free to comment and we can all exchange ideas as well. As well as smoke cleansing. I encourage everyone to smoke cleanse. I'm going to start trying to remember to bring some here so that we can smoke cleanse together. And the other tools she notes, there is the journaling. Having a sacred womb journal is something that I always encourage, even if it's just a note app on your phone. I honestly, I think that just buying a dollar journal is probably better, because having it physically in your hand, seeing it, having a place to go write things out, draw little pictures, all of those things I think is really invaluable. But I know some people really just don't have a dollar or so, or the money or the ability to go out to the Dollar Tree. So use what you have. Maybe make your own with some paper you have at home. But if you need to just use an app that's dedicated for this, even if it's the free notes app that comes on your phone, that's a wonderful place to be able to take notes, put quotes, put prayers or affirmations that you see, and then when you need to, you can just open that file up, scroll down, get more ideas, add to it, add your own thoughts to it, your own prayers to it, and see how it builds and grows and becomes a little bit of a safe space in that document. Also, a reminder of, I need to do the divination for March, but use your bone reading, your tarot cards, use dice. You can use some coins. You can use so many different things. We've talked about this before. Leaves, sticks, a long stick and a short stick. You can just use your own intuition. You can use your fingers. I know that that's in this book somewhere when we get to it. It's a lot further deep, though. I will say that. Pendulums as well. That's another divination method that she notes in here that you could definitely use. Actually, I'm not sure if she tells you how to use just your fingers to divine in this book, or if that's just something we went over in Sacred Woman Practitioner. But at any rate, we'll get to that. When we get to the pendulums, I'll teach you all that stuff as well. Okay. So smoke cleansing yourself, smoke cleansing others if you have somebody with you. And I think we're going to wrap it up with this last paragraph over here, and then I'll read the womb circle prayer for us all. Just being part of a sacred womb circle means that we're ready for healing in our bodies, our lives, and our environment. Perhaps you'll want to offer fruit or flowers or applause as you receive or give support to the sisters in the circle who are able to stand up against womb abuse by self and others, and to those who do their best to follow the womb wellness diet plan, and to those who cleanse their colons so their wombs can be as light as a feather. Divine wisdom dwells in the sacred womb circle. Divine Mother, may our wombs rest on the petals of the sacred lotus. Help us to open up within those sacred womb circle all that is buried within the womb of our mind, the womb of our heart, and the womb of our sacred seat. May the stories that we share within our womb circle renew our wombs, lighten our hearts, and heal our minds. May we treat our womb circle in a sacred way and keep our shared stories within our collective, making them sacred. May we commit to traveling this road of womb recovery without wavering, that we may restore our womb balance. Divine One who is indwelling, I open myself up today for absolute womb wellness. May our womb circle reveal to us our sacred medicine, that we may heal ourselves. I give thanks in advance for the wellness that surrounds my womb and the healing and the peace that surrounds and protects our womb circle. Atapu. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and I will see you next time.